All right, my friends, welcome to episode 335 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Over there is Anthony, the dev at Summer Speak. Not a lot of big stuff this week, so we're going to do a hodgepodge episode and just talk about some random gaming stuff. Before we turned on the mics, we were talking about the Steam Deck. Some friends of Anthony's have gotten their Steam Deck, and I'm on the list, and I'm going back and forth about whether or not I'm actually gonna go through with buying it, just because I have so many pieces of hardware with too many games to play right now. Like, I don't know if spending that much on Gen 1, I don't know if it's worth it really for me.
No, I completely understand. And as I was saying, I don't completely trust Valve with their hardware support. So for me, one, I don't need a Steam Deck right now. I have ample access to my gaming / development PC all the time. It's not hidden away. I can freely use it. We don't, weirdly, at our house, don't have like cable. We're not tending to sit on the couch as a family and watch things.
Right.
So it's, and even if then, if we are watching things, it's not like, oh, I want to be sitting on the couch playing a game on my Steam Deck while I'm with the family watching other things. It's like, no, we're choosing to watch stuff together as a family. And so I try to like minimize my multiple screens when that is happening.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's never been the greatest value proposition for me, and maybe in a revision 2 or 3, it could be more interesting. If I'm commuting more again, maybe that would become a thing where it's like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to play, because I would play Switch pretty consistently on my commutes. But I don't even know if that's going to happen again, so who knows? My friend that I was saying that got one, though, doesn't have a gaming PC. He has a work computer at home that's running Linux to do his development. But it's a work computer. It doesn't have like a good GPU in it. It's mostly just CPU processing for compiling and whatnot. It's not game-related stuff that he's doing. So the Steam Deck is actually his access and window into playing PC games. And it's perfect for him. And he's loving it.
That makes so much sense. Because I'm sitting here with a, a 3060 in my computer here that I could use for games. I don't, because I use my PS5 or my Switch. That's what I game on primarily, and I have more than enough games to play there. And, the Steam Deck sounds great. And if I were commuting, like you say, I would be playing more. I used to go out to coffee shops all the time or tea shops and play. But if that happens again, eventually, I would just bring my Switch. My Switch has more than enough games on it to play that I want to get to. And then, I feel like a Gen 2, if they get to a Gen 2, if they support this device, it's just going to have better battery life. And that's the thing that keeps, keeps cropping up in reviews, like, 3 to 4 hours, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's not shocking. Like,
no, it's not at all. I just know it'll be better in 4 years or whatever.
The hardware that's in there, you look at it, it's like it's as low wattage as they can get, but it's still much higher end hardware than say your Ultrabooks and stuff like that are getting 10 to 12 hours of battery life and have much bigger batteries because they have space for bigger batteries. So I think you're right. Like a Gen 2, ideally, that would be the main thing, is that they can get more battery life out of it. Like I said, I just don't know if there'll be a Gen 2 because who knows? Like, there's been a Gen 2 of VR from Valve. There has not been a Gen 2. There was never a Gen 2 for Steam boxes, which maybe the Steam Deck can be considered the sequel to Steam boxes. They just took 8-9 years to figure out what they wanted to do instead. I can't remember if Steam Deck is it Steam Deck using Steam OS, or is it brand new for Steam Deck?
I thought it was Linux, so I thought it was Steam OS.
It is Steam OS, but I mean, that's the thing. Did they just continue Steam OS? It is. It's Steam OS 3.0. So it's a new version of Steam OS. I wonder if I could put that on my Steam box that I have. So old, probably not easily.
Yeah.
Right.
That's been so long ago.
It is. I mean, it was a great little PC that I've had, because this thing is now, Actually, never mind. I use it. Installed Windows on it, and it is my wife's work computer.
The Steam boxes?
Yep.
Wow, that's neat.
It's a quad core, mini older generation Intel CPU. She doesn't for her work. She doesn't need GPU, so it just has the Intel built-in graphics. We put more RAM in it, so it's like 16 gigs of RAM. Has a nice SSD in it. Like, it works.
Yeah, wow.
And
nice
it's super tiny. That's the thing about it. It's definitely one of the ones where I've looked at it and like, she said when she getting close to needing an upgrade for it, finally, because that's almost a decade old at this point, maybe 9 years. The company that made this one, Gigabyte, still makes small form factor PCs like the Bricks form factor. And they've been keeping it updated, and they have new Ryzen 5 Bricks computers. Roughly the same form factor, just this like super mini computer.
Right.
Which would be perfect for her. Honestly, it'd be perfect for just a family computer. So I probably will get another one. I'm sold on that. I'm sold on the idea of small computers.
Well, at least you could repurpose that as well. Like, you know, if you had a Steam, you know, I cannot repurpose my Stadia anything that I bought. You know, I keep thinking about the Steam box now. I'm like, it's not going to be like Stadia, but it could be. I don't want to. I don't know. I'm really good at talking myself out of buying things, and I'm slowly talking myself out of this because I don't need it. I'm going to be playing Elden Ring for the rest of the fucking year, apparently. And you know, my PS5 and my Switch do me for everything. Like, I'm not even touching my gaming PC except for, you know, Rocket League. And I could. I'm so sated with, you know, Elden Ring. And I don't play video games until my wife and daughter are asleep. So I play basically like 10 to 12 at night. And that's, you know, 2 hours every day or every other day. It limits how much I play. So I don't need another console.
Yeah, so as we were talking, and there's something about it, like, let's say your wife's not in bed, you probably are watching or doing stuff with her.
Yeah, we're watching Severance currently, and that is fucking crazy.
I've heard incredible things about it. I really need to watch it. I think
it
sounds like perfect for me.
Oh, yes. As I'm watching this, I'm like, Anthony would really like this. The only thing about it is like, it's a little bit on the thriller side.
That's fine. That's fine.
I mean, this is not a show my wife would ever watch, but she, you know, on her social media was like, people are talking about the Severance show, and I just like immediately lit up. I was like, yes, I really want to watch that. You want to? She's like, yeah, I've heard it has like the best ending of any show and like forever or whatever. And I was like, I don't know what it's about. I thought it was like a comedy. It is not.
I mean, it's probably, of everything I've seen, it's not a comedy, but it's like a dark humor going on throughout.
It is dark.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much humor there is, but I think you can. Oh my god, you just gotta watch it.
I mean, I don't know anything about it, and I'm like, I'm like, when people talk about, I haven't heard that it has like an incredible ending. And mostly I'm like, man, everything I know about the show, I'm like, is it an incredible ending because it's fucking dark? And you're just going to be like, wow, they went there? Or is it going to be happy?
No, fucking no. If it's happy, it's not going to be on brand for the show so far. So I don't know, man, but it's creepy as fuck. And like, I don't know. I don't want to say anything because you should watch it.
I should. And this is a show I saw coming out because I was really surprised because Ben Stiller is a director. He directed 6 of the 9 episodes or something.
Yep.
And I think he's considered, he's one of like the main, not the creator, but one of the main creatives behind the show, which is crazy that it's Ben Stiller.
Yeah, it's good. Adam Scott is super good in it. You know, there are comedic bits.
Sure.
I don't know if you know about the premise of the show. Or
I know the premise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like not in work stuff, the out of work stuff. There's a lot more humor there.
Okay.
And it's kind of a nice tension break, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the premise and I was like, this is gonna be dark.
Yeah, dude. It's very you know, plays on religious overtones and almost like utilitarian Soviet kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
It's good. We've done 5 of 9. We've got 4 more to go. And
okay.
it's fucking good, man. Apple TV, man, has been killing it.
I think that's true. When we talk about streaming stuff, I mean, there's some news for the week. Netflix just imploding.
Oh my God, Fang is losing its N. It's not good.
No, not at all.
Shedding subscribers, and they're like, we are going to crack down on password sharing. It's like, well, you're going to lose more people, and we're going to add commercials.
No, that's the one that's going to kill it.
Yeah, that'll get me to unsubscribe.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
I've been subscribed since like 2008.
So have I've been subscribed a very long time, being like, oh, this is cool. But it's clearly showing that they are not prepared for actually having like strong competition.
Exactly.
In the streaming space.
Yep.
Because in general, like, get me wrong, there are shows I like on Netflix.
Yep, me too.
Like, I just realized, and I hadn't watched it, is that the Russian Doll season 2 is on there now. I need to watch that.
Is season 2 out now?
Came out on 4/20, of course.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I guess I know what we're watching after Severance then.
Yeah, so there's Russian Doll, which was great. Stranger Things has been great.
I've never seen an episode of that yet.
Oh, I really enjoy it as a horror kind of show, and it's done exactly. You have to enjoy horror and everything to a point. I wouldn't call it a horror show.
Okay. I mean, I love reading Stephen King, so
actually, I'd say it's a lot closer to that. Honestly, watch the title credits and you'd be like, "That's the Stephen King font." Because it riffs on the 80s kind of horror and Stephen King type of horror in that time.
Yeah,
it's a very nostalgia type show, 70s, 80s stuff, but overall has been really strong. Witcher, of course, has been great.
Yep.
They had the Marvel stuff for a while, and then
that's all gone now. We really liked Bridgerton, which is a totally different genre.
I've heard, yeah.
At first, we haven't
I
seen
have not watched. I have not watched Bridgerton, but my wife has watched Bridgerton. I think
your wife would like it. Did she watch it?
She does. Yeah, she enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of her she enjoyed it, but her complaints were like the costumes aren't right for the time period because she knows this shit.
Oh yeah, I did not catch that.
Yeah, she's like, they would never wear something like that. So that's fine. But I mean, there are things on Netflix that I think are good, but they've had a lot of misses and just, I don't know, kind of trying to just fill their coffers with material, even if it's not good. They're just like, got to get everything. Yeah, just got to get everything. Either,
you know what
make our own stuff or license it.
Yeah, you know what Netflix has been really good for, at least for us? Kids stuff on Netflix is probably the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best of all of them. But we would keep it just for that. I mean, they have a lot of really cool original stuff like Waffles and Mochi. Rescue Riders, I think, is Peacock, but we're watching that as well. Hilda is on there, which is good too. And there's something else we used to watch on there with our daughter. Doc McStuffins was on there, but that's on Disney Plus. Anyway, they have a lot of really cool original kid stuff that's really good and really like totally appropriate for young kids, which is nice. Sometimes there's like the kids stuff that's really has like jokes for adults too, and it just doesn't come across as really appropriate. For our daughter.
Yeah, I completely that's the thing. I feel like there are things on Netflix, but even me, like they raised their prices recently, right. And I was like, do I really want to keep this? Yeah. And if there's something else I want to subscribe to now, Netflix is probably getting dropped.
Yeah.
And to make room for it, because it just is. I will go when Witcher 3 comes out, or Stranger Things 4 season 4 comes out. I will subscribe, watch it, and then stop.
Yeah, kind of. I think we need to start doing that as well. I would get rid of Hulu, but my wife watches that for some stuff, so we're not going to do that. But yeah, I don't know. There's just so much. I don't subscribe to HBO Max, but when Game of Thrones comes on in August, I will. So I'll have to decide then what am I dropping.
It gets 2 episodes. House of Dragons gets 2 episodes. And it's only because Matt Smith is in it.
Matt Smith was Doctor Who?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was the 11th Doctor. And he was great. He's generally been great in what he's in. I really enjoy him. And so I saw he was in it, and I was like, okay, fine. I was burned on Game of Thrones, but because you're in this, I will give it 2 episodes.
You know what makes me want to give it an entire season? D&D are not involved at all.
That's true.
I will give it a full fucking season. Man, they are shit.
Yeah.
So,
but I will be honest though, like show wise, quality wise, it feels like Apple TV and like HBO are the ones that are still like pushing like the highest quality shows.
I definitely thought that about HBO when I had it. I'm still new to Apple TV, but every single thing we watch in that show on that fucking thing is intensely good quality.
Yeah. I've heard this like just constantly people talking about the stuff on Apple TV of like just the really good shows. I mean, the soccer show. Why can't I remember?
Ted Lasso, dude.
Ted Lasso, I've heard, like, as a comedy. Amazing.
Did you watch that yet?
No, I need to.
Good. First season, I mean, second season's good. First season is like maybe, I don't know, top 15 seasons I've ever seen of any show. It's fucking great. It has the right mix of like emotional plus funny, just also,
yeah.
I don't know, I'm a sucker for sports stuff sometimes.
Sometimes. But yeah, I've heard great things. Like there's that. Severance has now come out. There's been a couple other things.
Mythic Quest is on there. I've heard good things about that.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard good things about that.
Foundation, I've heard is good.
Working with a lot of sci-fi nerds, they were watching Foundation. They enjoyed it, but it's very different from the book, which makes sense because I don't know how you actually like make a compelling season of TV out of Foundation. Like,
I've never read it, so I don't even know.
It just doesn't. It does not translate to television in any way, shape, or form. Just the structure of the story.
It's like televising the Silmarillion.
Yeah, kind of in a lot of ways, and just kind of like just one of those things where you're like, no, like if you tried to stay true to this, it's going to be so boring.
Yeah. Who's gonna pick up Elden Ring? Who's gonna fucking make a series out of that shit?
Someone needs to at this point.
Someone absolutely fucking needs to. That is like taking up the zeitgeist in a huge way.
Yeah.
I don't know what
because I mean that's just Bandai Namco's if they're gonna license it anywhere. I'm sure doesn't get a say in that, but
right.
I don't think Bandai Namco has done. Have they done a lot to license their main properties?
Nothing that I could name.
What are their main properties?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I always think of them as working with other people, like Warriors. They make Warriors games, don't they?
They do.
No, it's Koei Temco. That's Koei Temco. Never mind.
Ace Combat. I mean, it's the Souls games. Anything that in that. I'm looking at now. Digimon. .hack. Mr. Driller. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Love me, Mr. Driller. They license a lot of stuff. Like they're the ones who license
like One Piece
like
or whatever.
One Piece stuff. Mm-hmm. They're They do Soul Calibur.
I need, and we talked about this off mic, but I need more Elden Ring. Like I only play it at night, so I need the books. I need a graphic novel. I need a fucking show. I need music. I need it all because I have not been so captivated by a game since Breath of the Wild, where I've just wanted to play every night and just explore. I'm just going there. Last night I was just like, I haven't been to the east of Liurnia Lakes, Liurnia Lakes or whatever the fuck it's called. So I'm going to try to figure a way to get down over here. And then I went down and found this fucking catacomb that was the most bizarre catacomb I've had so far, where there was just a series of secret passages, like 6 in a row.
Oh, you're in that one. I know what you're talking about.
Oh man, yeah, and it led to a boss fight. Mm-hmm. And there's a knight. I'm attacking the knight and nothing's happening. And there are all these messages from people saying, seek the light. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And then I sought the light and I fucking hit it with my sword and there was a fucking snail there. And then,
spirit colors.
Oh my God, it was so cool. And then that was just like through a secret passage, which is, I guess, how you get to the boss. And I went the normal way and I found some spirit ashes. But it was so cool. And the other one, I don't know what the fuck it's called, the Folk Hero's Grave or whatever, like the first kind of fog enshrouded, you put a stone sword key in to get into it.
At the very beginning, right?
At the very beginning, yeah. I finally went back there and that was
I hate that place. I hate that place.
I think it's my favorite dungeon in the whole place so far. I really liked it. Really did. And then I don't know, I'm so over leveled that the boss I got there with like no resources and he wiped me, and then I resurrected at the Stake America and just dusted the fucking floor with him. But I loved that dungeon. It's my favorite one so far.
That's cool.
I'm a masochist. I don't know.
There's a number of, again, like a lot of things in the game. They have a lot of content, but they also have just themes of content.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's Hero's Grave content. That's not the only Hero's Grave. You'll find
Okay.
at least a half dozen more Hero's Graves, I think, in the end.
Oh.
And they all follow a similar pattern to that. They have the chariots in them.
Oh.
Like,
Okay.
that is a mechanic that is in Hero's Grave.
Okay.
And so you'll find them, and some are more difficult than others and the whole thing. I mean, that's something to talk about the game and the fact that they reuse themes of content constantly, but make it fresh each time. But it's not like each catacomb is radically different than the other ones.
Right.
In some ways, it's like, oh, I know what the structure of a catacomb is. Really, they just use them and use that structure in interesting ways and reuse the content they have, which is probably how they can make so much content.
Yeah.
And as understanding their pipeline and like going, well, we have a catacomb tile set. We have these rooms, level designers, content designers. You have that to work with, make cool things. Which is cool, and it works really well, and it gives them wide variety of content while using a lot of the same content of the core pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nice how they have the different, the things that kind of spiral out from Limgrave, like, the different the catacombs, the tunnels, the fucking Everjails or whatever. And then as you progress further, like, they just kind of evolve. Like, the game just evolved. Like, Travis was talking today about some catacomb in the capital.
Yeah, the capital. I don't remember the specific name. I know which one he's talking about. It's the only catacomb in the capital, and it's incredibly well hidden to get to it. But it's there, and that thing is crazy. I loved that one.
Yeah, it just feels like some games were like it evolves with you as you go. Like, you gain new abilities, for example, and then like the enemies and situations you face adapt to those new abilities, so it doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Like, this game has 50 hours in, has not presented something to me that felt like, oh, I'm just doing this again. It's God, there's so much. It reminds me of Hollow Knight so much, where you have the different, I forget what they were called, like the badges or whatever, the pins or whatever. You can just mix and match, like with this the flask of wondrous physic or whatever. You can just like mix and match and make different things, and that encourages you to go find the minor Erdtree avatars and kill them and get new stuff. And there's just so many systems. Like the Great Runes, you have to get the Great Rune and then go power it up, and then mix and match which ones you want to use. You have to get fucking rune arcs to power them up. There's so many intricate systems that it's just I don't know. There's like so much micro strategy, and I'm just doing a dual Uchi fucking melee build. I haven't even touched sorcery yet. Like, I could respec and be a completely different character if I want to.
You could,
which is cool. I'm not sure. I feel scared to do that.
I mean, it can be.
I'm comfy with my.
What level are you?
67.
Yeah, you're completely in a range where I'd say respecking to anything is fine. You have enough points to spend to allocate where you'd need to if you really wanted to be like, oh, I want to change this thing. Like, the only thing, if you like Uchikatanas, is to go to like a Moonveil type build. Dual wield. Just switch out one of the Uchikatanas to a Moonveil.
Right.
And go respec to have more int-based kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say you have to be sorcery in that way. Like, my Moonveil build, I didn't use sorcery all that much. I just wanted to use Moonveil. And it scales with int really well, because its Ash of War is just unsheathed but better.
Unsheathed but better? Hold on.
Yeah, no, it just is.
Enticed.
It has a longer range. It's magic damage, as opposed to physical.
Yeah.
Staggers enemies at a higher rate. Like, I have a hard time saying that Moonveil is anything but an upgrade to an Uchikatana.
I'm gonna have to go find Moonveil then and think about that.
Travis is using it, and
right,
because I think it still has bleed on it as well. Yes, it has blood buildup of 50. So I think my in-game goal, if I was going to power stance katanas, would be Moonveil and Rivers of Blood. Is other.
Rivers of Blood the one you get from killing that one merchant with the hat?
No.
Oh, okay.
Rivers of Blood is one that you have not even come to the area where you can get it yet. You are quite a ways from that area, actually.
I feel like I have done so much, and when I look
so
at like
little?
the quote unquote required bosses, I've done 2, maybe 3.
2. I'm trying to think here. Well,
So
3. I would
Margit,
say 3. Well, no.
Margit.
Let's take it. Let's go through that thing. You did Margit. You did Godric, right?
Yep, those are required. Those 2.
You did the Red Wolf
Yep.
and Renala.
Okay, that's 4.
You've done nothing in the capital yet, correct?
No.
So those are you've done those 4. Those 4 are required.
Okay,
everything
so
else,
4. Okay.
Everything else you've done is completely optional.
And I feel like optional is strange because I have to level up, and those bosses help me level up fast. Like Radon gave me 3 fucking levels by himself.
Sure. But you don't have to do them to progress the main story.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
So I've done 4 out of 13 then.
Yes.
Cool. And the Red
like
Wolf
I said in my thing, 9 through 13 are the last 5% of the game. 10% of the game. Like they're just, it's really fast. Like those are just going to come at you very quickly going between them. And there's not really
different parts of the map.
9 and 10. 9 is in a different part of the map.
That's
10,
Fire
11.
Giant, I think, right?
No, that's Fire Giant. Is that Fire Giant? Fire Giant was 8.
Oh, okay.
9 is in a different part of the map. 10, 11, 12, 13 are very contained. One zone. You're going to get through them very quickly. That's kind of how I felt was I was like, got to the end of the game. I did Fire Giant. And then I progressed through the next area a little bit. And then I did a lot of side stuff before doing those last bosses. Because I just was like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be through the game very quickly at this point. So let me go to the Hallowed Tree, figure out how to get to the Hallowed Tree and do that and go to fight Millennia. Let me do all the optional rune bosses. Let me do Ronnie's quest line. Let me do any quest line I haven't done, basically, on my first playthrough. But I mean, if you're 50 hours in and there, I feel like your playthrough is at least going to be 100 hours or more.
Oh my god, I feel the same way. Like, there's if 50 gets me to 4, to get to 13, even though those last ones are all fast together, like I could see this being like 120, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey level. Hours.
My second character, where I just started again, I had stopped. I had just beat the Fire Giant. So to think about,
you're pretty far along.
I am. That's the thing about it. I'm like, Jesus. My second character already got through a good 75% of the bosses, of the required bosses. And I had done Radon. I had done Nokron. Because I'm there, but I have finished Ronnie's questline on my second character. I haven't finished Fia's questline. I was in the middle of doing that. And this is me.
Fia?
The person that gives you hugs.
Oh God, yeah. I listened to a podcast the other day. I was like, you should get more hugs from her. I was like, okay.
Oh, you haven't done much of her? Like, her questline is really cool.
I got one hug from her, and I was like, I don't want this thing.
I have a friend who did that, who was like really close to the end of the game, and he's like, do I need to do something with Fia? I'm like, and me and another person were like, yeah, you really do, if you actually, because there's an ending locked behind it, an ending choice locked behind it. Because there's like 4 different endings. There could be another and more, I don't know, but there's 4 trophies in the game.
Oh.
And Fia's tied to one of them. Ronnie's tied to one of them. One is not tied to anybody, but it's just a little bit different. And then there's the normal one.
Okay.
My first playthrough character I chose Ronnie's ending.
That's probably what I'm going to do as well, because I've progressed that one the most of any of them.
Ronnie is awesome.
Maybe that's just how you naturally do it, I guess. I feel like I've run into her questline stuff more often than anyone else's.
Her questline is probably by far the largest and has like tendrils into so many different areas of the game. Fia's is probably the second largest.
Dang, I guess I gotta get hugged by the creepy lady then.
You do need to get hugged and talk to her. Because I'm trying to think of other quest lines that you've probably started but haven't done. There's D. Have you done with anything with D?
Yeah, I've done two, whatever they're called, something roots, death touch roots or whatever, to that monster so far.
Okay, and weirdly, Dee's questline doesn't matter about that death test monster. That's
Oh,
a whole nother
what the
thing.
fuck?
Like, he sends you to there to do it, but
Yeah.
his thing is totally different.
I just don't talk to any of these people. And fucking, whenever I do major stuff, I come back and go get my spirit tune and my fucking sword upgraded, and I don't talk to anyone. I guess that's a mistake.
Trying to think of other ones, because there was one I missed on my first playthrough. And I did
Well,
Go ahead.
In the hold, there was a guy who's standing against the wall who says, "If you find, I don't know, Layla, tell her I'm here," or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, I've done his.
And,
his cool.
Well, eventually he's just gone. I was like, I must have missed Layla.
No, you'll find him.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole another optional area you've never even gone to.
Oh my God, Anthony.
You can totally get to it now if you want to do it.
What area is that? What's it called?
Volcano Manor.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one we get to, like, invasions and shit?
Yeah. Fake invasions. No.
Oh, okay.
No. Volcano Manor is like, it's NPC, like you invade NPCs, basically.
Oh, okay.
The invasions you're talking about is...
Kare or whatever?
Vor...
Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
Yep.
I highly recommend doing that.
Really? Okay.
If you want to get to a place that you can get 35k XP in a couple minutes, repeatedly.
Is that the chicken thing?
I mean, it's the same spot as the chicken. I hate the chicken thing. I can never get that to work well.
Okay.
The videos make it seem way easier than it actually is.
Yeah.
But right next to that, where you're fired, is a bunch of completely docile mobs that you can decimate for 35,000 XP in a couple minutes.
Oh, man. Well, so I guess the question about the invasion, if I invade I'm invading a player with that fucking red finger thing, right?
Yep.
Do I lose my runes if I die?
No.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, the easiest way to do it, invade and then just close the game, like disconnect.
Oh.
Disconnect your internet and then reconnect and do the whole thing. Like, they don't have to be in successful invasions or anything.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, even if you're worried, I don't know if you lose your runes or not. I always did it when I had like very few runes. Like, it didn't matter. So, more than anything, I'm just like, try to win, try to not, disconnect. Doesn't really matter. You just need to go through the process of using the finger, going into someone's world, and whatever the outcome, doesn't matter.
I need to do it 5 times, right?
3 times.
3. Okay, perfect.
3.
I'll do it. I'll try to do it tonight then. Because he gave me 5 fingers, but...
Yeah, no, you have to do it 3 times, and then you talk to him, and then you get to go... Then there's another part to the quest, which I'm sure you'll get to, and if you need help, you can ask.
Awesome. Cool.
Before you get to go to the cool place. And by cool place,
so
it's not that cool. It's really, really creepy. But...
Oh, God. I've been staying away from Caelid for that very reason.
Yeah, it's kind of like Caelid in that way of being like, yep, hell.
Ugh.
But not Scarlet Rot hell, bloody hell.
Great.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of creeping. Is there a reason why this game was like affecting me on a mental level? Probably.
Yeah, I have been avoiding those places so far. I just got to the Belfries, and I have never been to there yet. And I was like, this is what everyone's been talking about.
Really?
What, the people have been talking about it, or that I haven't been there?
Talking about it.
Yeah, at least in our Discord.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about,
I messed up. I mean, in my exile.
Yes, in your exile you missed.
I probably didn't miss people talking about the Belfries. Yes, there's that will play an important part in Vor's quest. Like one of those.
Okay.
One of the 4 Belfries matters for that.
Should I do his invasion thing first before I do the Belfries then? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great. I'll do that. I know that one of the Belfries lets you warp back to the beginning and face that grafted scion.
You should do that one.
Yeah, I want to.
We said that was a thing I quickly saw at in our Discord as a conversation point of that there was probably other mobs there at some point. The grafted scion, there's like the video that showed like
the different bosses.
My honest thought is this probably has nothing to do with them spending a lot of time thinking about that. I bet they wanted Grafted Scion probably from the beginning, but Grafted Scion probably didn't get done till later, so they just
hard to animate.
stubbed things in as they needed them. Like that's probably to me that video tries to read in way too much intent on the development cycle of being like, no, they probably just wanted the like, oh, the Erd Tree avatars are done. Let's stick them in right now because we just need a hard enemy there.
Like a placeholder kind of thing.
Yeah, it's total placeholder. Because I have a guarantee. I guarantee you to make this game and to make it as well as they did, they put placeholder stuff all over this map as they were creating it.
Yeah.
Because while they're doing that, it's a parallel process of different creatures being animated and rigs being made and art and the whole thing and being hooked up where they can start switching stuff out to what they want it finalized as.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where the video reads a lot into that. And I'm like, well, I don't think you have to read too much into it. This is just, that's game development. Good game development,
but everything
I should say.
From does is intentional. There's some...
No, I mean, there was probably intention to it in the fact that it was like, we just need something here right now.
No, it's the lore, Anthony.
No, it's really not. Although the lore is pretty incredible.
Well, I saw that tweet you sent where it's just like, here's the lore, scroll out. Oh my god, there's so much shit here.
Yeah, the Vati.
I love listening to that stuff, even though some of it has spoilers, because it just gives me a schema for like what I'm experiencing. It just helps me remember the stuff more.
Yeah, I would actually say like the way now experiencing this and knowing how the lore of like just From games are delivered, Bloodborne. Like I've watched his video on Bloodborne because I'm like, wow, this world is really cool. I don't want to play this game, but the world is cool.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring follows a similar manner. Like lore is given in snippets from characters. It's on effectively little text on each item that you get. You can start piecing together the story of the world. It reminds me of early Magic the Gathering sets.
Yeah,
Legend of the Five Rings early sets there were like actually probably more Legend of the Five Rings, which is a Asian inspired collectible card game. It's an RPG now and a whole thing. But in the like late 90s when it was really popular, it the one thing that really differentiated was that it was like a game that had like heavy story, but the story was never like explicitly told. It was just on the cards. And you'd see little like quotes and little things here and there. And it was like the community would put the cards together and be like, oh, this person is talking about this person, this event. And they'd start piecing together the overall story. And so FromSoft stuff totally feels a lot like that, where it's like, no, they have a story they're telling, but they're not explicitly telling it. They're letting other people figure it out and put it together. Right. Which is probably amazing from a word of mouth standpoint. Did they intend that? Probably not originally, but happy accident in some ways.
Well, I feel like that's part of what's sustaining. I mean, any From game, but this one specifically is just like those lore videos, the Vani video or whatever.
Yeah.
People just like wanting to piece things together. Like there's enough of a gray area that you just kind of can infuse it with like what you really think.
Yeah.
And it just makes content, just makes it there. Like Elden Ring has been everywhere that I have seen online.
It still is. That's the thing. Like it's not. I feel like it's gone down a little bit in the zeitgeist, but I still see my Twitter feed constantly full of things because there's a lot of people like you who are going through it at a slower pace and they're posting about it, tweeting about it, absorbing the content. There's a lot of people I know that are going back through it a second time, third time.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of staying, even if a little bit lower than when its release was, just in the communal gaming mind share, because there's so much to just talk about with it. So much.
Well, there's so many, like you say, like the second and third playthroughs, I'm sure those people are like, holy shit, I didn't see this the first time.
My second playthrough, there's tons of stuff that I'm like, I didn't experience this. What the hell is this? Like there's a whole quest line that I'm like, I never knew this quest line existed. And I completed it. It's actually from Starts in Limgrave. Trying to think that. Did you ever you were running around Limgrave and there was like a noble yelling on top of a ruin?
I just read about that yesterday. I was like, where the fuck is that? I never experienced that.
Yeah,
so no,
totally did. And then it tied in with one of the forts in Limgrave.
Yeah, exactly. The lower east side, I think.
Yeah, I totally did that. And then it ties in with another quest line of another NPC, which I could never figure out what the hell they did. And so I finished this whole other quest line. And where they are now the ruler of Limgrave.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Like I went to Godric's throne and they are now sitting upon it and they've been crowned the new ruler of Limgrave.
And then you have to fight them in an epic boss fight.
Nope.
just
They're pretty awesome. They gave me a
That's
cool upgrade item.
Yeah, I heard about that guy yelling. I was like, it's like near the Mistwood somewhere. I think. And
it's by the Third Church of America where you first get the physique.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's off. I have to look at a map. But this second playthrough, I didn't know about that, but I had ridden past and I heard the person yelling, you defeat a monster pack, and then you hear he says a different line, you go up to him and talk to him, and he talks about like, hey, can you go do this thing? Which is clearing out the fort that I had already been like, oh yeah, I was going to clear out that anyway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's
I
just one of those things.
Like 30 hours ago.
Completely missable is the thing.
Yeah.
And I completely missed it on my first playthrough. So, I don't know. Like, that's the kind of intense amount of content that is in this game.
It's really unbelievable.
It is. I don't even understand it.
Yeah, what you were saying before when I was still playing Horizon. Like, I just don't know how they could put so much content in. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sure there's a lot of content. No, I failed to understand what you meant by a lot of content. Now,
to a point of being like I said, I constantly am I do not understand how they made this game. I don't know how they made it even in 5 years, which is my estimate of how long they had to make this game.
And are they making an expansion like they do for most of their games?
I assume the arenas are going to be part of that because you can't go into them.
Yeah.
And there's multiple arenas and NPCs out front of arenas. So I assume those are something that they'll do. They'll do a DLC. But I assume there's at least one expansion coming. With it being as popular it is, maybe more. Who knows?
Yeah, dude, I'm in. This is my first FromSoft game that I've really gotten into, and it's you too, I think. But man, it's quickly jumping up into like Witcher 3 levels of like one of my favorite games I've ever played.
And it's very different than that type of like Witcher 3 game, which is interesting. Like both open world, and I still like. That's the thing. I think the lore and the world of Elden Ring is really neat, but it doesn't have much of a story overall.
Yeah,
like. Which is fine. Witcher 3 has a very compelling story.
Yes.
Constantly. It's such an interesting take. Like, you are in the From way, you're just experiencing the world, you're experiencing the lore. You're not... I wouldn't say... It's not a narrative game.
Exactly.
By any means. It's not trying to tell you narrative. You can piece together narrative if you want to. But if you're a person that wants to play this game and not give a damn about any narrative, it's still a really good game. That's the thing about it. And I would say Witcher, Horizon, those games, if you don't care about the narrative, I don't think the game's worth it.
No, Witcher. I love Witcher 3 to death, but if the story wasn't there, like
you'd be like, okay, it's fine. Like that's. But I mean, that's one of the things they're selling with that is like the narrative is an important pillar of that game.
Yeah. I'm more interested in Horizon without the story, even though I still like the story. I think it's fucking fascinating. And maybe you had the same experience. I was so into Horizon, the story, the world, everything. And as soon as I picked up, I beat it, picked up Elden Ring, and I completely forgot about it.
Yep.
Almost completely. Like wow. I played it, I enjoyed it, but this is such another level. It's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said before, this poor Horizon, but Elden Ring has similar feelings to how I felt when I played Breath of the Wild.
Yep,
first
absolutely.
time. Like, it's that there are certain games that come along every like 5 years, roughly, that you're like, wow, this is a special game. Elden Ring is a very special game.
Those moments too make me think, I'm so glad that I play games. Like, I'm glad that I watch movies. I'm glad that I read books. I'm glad that I play games, because every once in a while there's just like a thing that is so monumental that to have not experienced it in my life would have been very sad. Like if I never experienced Witcher 3 or A Song of Ice and Fire,
Yep.
I would just, my life would be poorer, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is one of them. Like it's just the way that it's brought all of us together to talk about this fucking game, in a way that's just been so cool.
Yeah. And it's not common to get games that are able to do that. Any kind of media actually do that. It's kind of a rare occasion. If, like you said, if you're experiencing multiple types of media, TV, movies, books, you'll get it more often because they just all go through their own cycles. But,
exactly. Yep.
But it's still not common. It's easy to go multiple years where you don't get anything like this going on. But it's cool when it happens, and I still kind of can't believe that Elden Ring exists as a game. Like, I just don't know how it was made. I cannot conceive of how they could have the tools to make this much content and make this much high quality content. Because it's not just like they're throwing tons of content out there and it's all mediocre. It's good content constantly.
Even like Breath of the Wild, like sometimes the shrines were kind of like, all right, we've done this. Kind of like it's just another battle shrine, great.
Yeah.
So even that suffered. It could have been cut a bit. This so far, I have not seen anything that's like, well, we're just doing that thing again. Like we were talking earlier, like it changed, it evolves whatever mechanic it's doing or whatever.
And I would say the evolution is interesting. Is less about you having mechanics in the game that are better. It evolves to your knowledge of the game world. It's like evolving to the player, not in-game powers that you have.
That's how I felt with the battle specifically. Like I'm kind of seeking out Everjails because it's just me and the boss, and I've gotten so much better at combat in this game that it's weird. It honestly reminds me a lot of Hollow Knight, where I was beating my head against the wall for the bosses a lot at the beginning. I slowly got better, and by the end, I beat the final secret boss. After beating my head against it like 40 fucking deaths in a row, and I just felt so accomplished. And that's what this is too. It's like I've learned how to fight. I've learned how to dodge. I've learned how to read. I'm still, I think it's helped by having my Uchis so leveled up so far. But I feel like +8 and +9 is not that leveled up in the grand scheme of things, to be honest.
No, not really, because those aren't special, so they go to 25.
Right.
So you're not even halfway. You're just below halfway. So no. I mean, it's interesting because you talked about the reading thing, and like I know playing a second character, I'm like I am way better at this game than when I started. Considering I was able to just go smack Margit down on my second character without much of an issue. Where the first time hitting that boss was like, oh, it took me a half dozen times to get through it and figure it out. I'm just like, okay, this is knowledge of being like, I'm just better at this game now, but my God, am I such an aggressive player. But it's fine. Like the game will support that. If you understand the mechanics coming at you, understand not to panic rule, you can be an aggressive player in the game. You can also be a patient player if you want to be. I just don't want to be patient. I'm like, no, I want to wipe this boss down.
I've been a mix, like with Radon, for example. Like I would get in and be aggressive for about 5 to 8 seconds and then get the fuck out of there.
You have
just
to
wait for my next opening, and that's the boss fight where I really learned that.
Yeah, I don't actually like Radon as a boss fight. I think I brought that up.
You have, yeah. That was
I think it's a spectacle and it's really neat, but I actually just dislike it as a boss fight. There's a couple reasons. I think it fights against the core combat concepts in some ways. There's Fire Giant is my other boss that I kind of dislike.
Yeah.
They're hard to fight in general because I felt like I was constantly fighting camera and other things in that fight just because of like they're much bigger than you. much bigger than you. Right. And I really feel I'm like, this doesn't really push the good combat in the game. Like Melania, which is, for whatever reason, people are like, this is the hardest fight in the game. And I'm like, I didn't find it the hardest fight. I found it one of the funnest fights in the game. I mean, she will totally, completely own you if you do it wrong. But I enjoyed the like smaller human on human fights far more than the big spectacle fights.
Yeah, I think the camera is a good point.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of not Breath of the Wild. It reminds me of Wind Waker specifically, like Puppet Ganon or a couple of the other fucking fights where I just felt like the camera was so unwieldy that I wasn't facing the right way, and I just keep getting hit when I was trying to look at the boss.
Yeah, and even when I was locked on to like Radon, it actually being locked on to Radon got me killed many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a thing where I was like, God, I'm just spending so much time just managing my goddamn camera than the boss. Radon I finished. Weirdly, the first time was shortly like after I respect, so I was able to just slowly Scarlet Rot and have summons in there and helping like all the dudes. And I finally beat him that way. The second time as a confessor, my faith was so high, my Scarlet Rot did so much damage. He was so trivial. It was kind of hilarious. I was like, wow, I don't think I'm better at this fight. I just think my build just wrecked him. Fire Giant,
I read about this.
Fire Giant took a long time on the confessor. That one took probably less time on my samurai, but the confessor, my faith build, Fire Giant, it probably took me about a dozen times to get through, and it had to become a very patient kind of fight, but not in a way that was patient of like, oh, your attacks are imminent. It's like, no, I just have to go in, do a couple swipes, and then run the fuck away, because you're going to do something huge and big. Always, okay, come back. Honestly, I didn't like, because it was just, I was like, this is really boring.
It's like tedious.
It was very tedious. It has a bunch of HP. So, look forward to that. I don't love the Fire Giant. Gives a bunch of XP, though, so enjoy that.
Yes, I will definitely enjoy that.
But
I'm enjoying leveling. I'm just pumping my endurance now, because I've got my vigor and dex up to where I want it.
Yeah.
So, just trying to get stamina now.
That's a good thing. But beyond that, like I guess the final boss, I never felt completely great about.
Yeah,
it's another big one, but it was like me beating it just kind of felt like, oh, things went my way, so I beat it.
You got lucky.
Not that it was like I got better at this fight. Like I did a little bit. I learned how to dodge some of these attacks. You, of course, as you play it multiple times, you learn like, oh, it's going to do this type of attack. I need to do X, Y, or Z to counter it, or to do the thing. So I learned some of that so I could live longer. But I also am like, well, if it had done X, Y, or Z attack that it can do, I was totally dead. Like, but it just happened to RNG into a line of positioning and stuff that worked very well for me. When I did,
it kind of takes some of the accomplishment away.
It did a little bit. I was like, all right, I'll take it though. I finished the game.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
done.
I had a lot of skill throughout the game. I don't need it right now.
Because it's another one of those big giant boss fights where you're like, my God, this arena is huge and you're huge and I don't know where I'm looking a lot of the time. So hopefully I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. If there's any critique in the game, that's kind of it. I think that, and previous Souls games have been this way, is that larger than life, huge battles just don't work that well in third person combat. A lot of times, melee combat. It's not just FromSoft games. That's pretty consistent in a lot of games. Like Horizon avoids it because it's not really a melee combat game. You can, but it's not. You shoot from arrows and stuff from afar. You're not trying to stay up close to a thing.
It's just impossible to keep the perspective on like a screen that doesn't get big. Like it doesn't get bigger. Like in real life, like the periphery, both up and sideways, like fills in, and you're able to kind of know where you are in space. But not on the screen. You can't see above. You know.
So I've come back playing the Elden Ring. I'm like, its best fights are its human or like one or like twice your size kind of fights. Kind of were the most fun that I've had in that game. Because the boss before the end boss was a lot of fun to learn. So
I don't know. There's a lot of fun stuff ahead of me.
There's a lot of fun stuff, and who knows, at your pace, maybe by the end of summer you'll be at this point where you're fighting the end boss.
That's kind of what it feels like, and that's totally fine. I'm A-okay with that. I'm
so
not
ridiculous.
tiring of the game at all, and it's 50 hours at this point, so 49 right now.
There's always something new to find. That's the thing with it. And the fact is the fact I'm like, God, you haven't even been to the capital.
Nope.
And that's the thing. And like, if you decide you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the plateau and I'm going to explore the plateau, you can explore the plateau for dozens of hours without ever touching the capital.
I feel like that's what the lakes are. Like, I'm just dozens of hours in the lakes.
Yeah.
There's whole areas of the lakes that I haven't even touched yet. I guess I'm starting to touch now, the west side.
Yeah.
But maybe there's another map piece I don't even know about that I'm missing to the northwest, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
I don't know. If you can... I don't know. I assume you have the map piece. You can see Carriov Manor and that whole area.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think you probably have everything for the west.
Oh, okay.
So I think at this point. I could be wrong. But...
Yeah. I'll have to zoom out my map and post it. But yeah, I've, Altus Plateau, I got up there to that site of grace, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I will come back later.
There's a lot on Altus Plateau, and then that's also a way into Volcano Manor and stuff like that. Mounts, okay. Whatever that is up there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yep.
There's a number of ways into Volcano Manor. Highly recommend it. That's a fun storyline. There's a lot of fun storylines. I don't know. It's a ridiculous game. But, I mean, the fact that you haven't been to the capital, I'm like, oh boy, there's a lot of map you haven't even seen past
right,
that.
It's like, I feel like when I talk to you or Travis, I'm like, it sounds like I haven't really even started the game yet.
Kind of. Well, that's the weird thing about it, is I'm like, beating Renala is still probably less than halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Almost certainly, when I think of map stuff. And as we're saying, the capital is Stormvale exponentially larger, basically. There's so much in the capital.
Is it one big, like, sprawling building, or like?
No,
just, like,
it's a city.
Yeah, okay.
And there's a lot of buildings, but it's all the capital. There's multiple grace points throughout it. There's, of course, a verticality to the whole thing. So there's stuff, different levels. There's subterranean, the whole thing. It's a lot. It's huge. That one took me quite a while to work my way through. It definitely feels... I'm pretty sure that's the one where I got to it and it's like, oh, that felt like a difficulty spike as well. Like, it definitely felt more challenging. There's definitely certain mobs there that will totally wreck me, even still, if I let my guard down. But yeah, it's kind of insane, because I'm like, man, you have that... You haven't even... I mean, that's the thing, there's the optional stuff. Like, you can do the Fire Giant, but that's not even all the map. Like, going through the main line, those 13 bosses, does not reveal all the map at all.
Right.
Not even close.
Damn.
There's the underground stuff, like, that you've seen some of, but...
I feel like I've seen so much of the underground stuff, and I surely haven't.
I mean, because you've seen Nokron and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen Mogwin. You probably haven't seen Noxtella.
Nope.
The Lake of Rot. Probably haven't seen that. That's a fun one. Enjoy that.
I remember Travis bitching about that.
The Lake of Rot. And you probably haven't seen God, can't even remember. Deep Root Depths, I believe, is another one down there that's really big. Like all these underground areas that you haven't even gone to, because the underground is huge.
Oh my god, it's so huge.
I don't know what to tell you. This game is, again, I talk about it, I'm just like, how do they make this? How could they make this much content? I don't know. I want to see their editor. I want to see their tools.
Yeah,
because clearly they have really good tools for making a game like this.
I want the no clip documentary. That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen because it's Japanese in there.
Exactly.
While they did NoClip did a Final Fantasy 14 documentary, they talked about how difficult that was to make.
Yeah.
Right. Because of the language barrier and the whole thing. And even traveling to Japan now is a little rough still. Like, talk about a country that has closed its borders for COVID. Japan is one of them.
Yep.
They have just recently, to the point where they'll let people travel in for business now. but that's new.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. Wow, we just talked about Elden Ring for a while again.
We did it.
Because
we did it.
My God.
Strap in, folks. This is going to be our fucking entire year because I don't know how this game gets dethroned from being Game of the Year. I really don't. I
mean, if it does, that means that think about how good of game comes out.
Oh my God.
This. I'm like, we're just
it's true.
bathing in riches at that point.
Yep, exactly. Like, this is the best year of gaming that's ever been.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So sure. Devs, give it to me. Someone give me the game that is better than Elden Ring this year.
One up it. Let's go.
Please.
Yes, Anthony's ready. I'm not. Give it to me in like September.
Maybe you're going to finish it and be like, I'm just going to start again like I did.
Yeah, maybe.
After a week and being like, no, I still just want to play this game. But I feel like
it's more likely to happen because I'm slow rolling it so much. Like, I don't feel like I'm getting oversaturated.
Sure.
So I feel like I would be more interested, as opposed to, like, sometimes I don't know, I play so much I'm like, okay, I'm just done. Like, when I beat the game,
surprised with myself on the fact that I was like, I had beat it in such a short amount of time and that I wanted to go back and play it again.
It's like Mass Effect 2, right? You did the same thing there.
I did, and it kind of had the same thing. In this, I wasn't tired of it. I still am not tired of it. I'm just not letting myself play.
Yeah.
Because
strength of will. Talking to all of us who are playing it right now. That must be hard.
Kind of, because like people talk about it, and I'm like, oh God, I want to do that. I haven't done that. Oh yeah, my second character, I was wanting to do X, Y, and Z, or there's a whole list of things I want to do, but I'm like, no, I really shouldn't. Because I'm getting obsessed with it, and it's not good. Or I'm still obsessed with it, but I need to be less obsessed. I don't know.
Yeah. Well worth the $60 price tag, though.
Yeah, I will continue watching the streams of the guy I watch who has now beat it multiple times. He did his normal playthrough, which is fine. He's done a level 1 playthrough and beat of the game.
Wow. Incredible.
He and all side bosses at level 1. So he did Millennia at level 1.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was insane to watch that one. He has now done a summon only run. So if there is a boss where you can have summons, he cannot attack the boss. Only the summon can attack the boss. He can heal the summon, he can buff the summons, but he cannot do any damage to the summon. To the boss. To the boss.
Wow.
He was on the Fire Giant for 2 10-hour streams.
Oh my God, dude.
Trying to figure out how to beat it with a summon.
Oh jeez.
He did a sleep run, so he's using a weapon that puts people to sleep. And that was the only thing he could use, was putting bosses and mobs to sleep. He did that, and that one went really quick. And now he's doing a consumable only run. So the only way he can damage stuff is using like kookaries, crystal darts, pots,
fucking
throwing.
Pots, yeah.
Yep. It has to be a consumable.
Jesus. That's fine.
I love this guy's stream, Lobos Jr.
Lobos
He did
Jr.
He did a bunch of. He's done Dark Souls streams and Demon Souls and Bloodborne streams, and I remember whenever he was playing this on his main thing, he's like, the amount of content I'm going to get out of this game for streaming is immense. And he's all in on it. And I'm like, I don't think he's going to stop playing this game probably for years.
The value of $60 for this fucking game is beyond belief.
Yeah.
So, as you can tell by the content we're making off this game, just put through our podcast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, this was episode 335 of Prof and Dev Play Games, where we talk about Elden Ring. If you like Elden Ring, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. And we will be back next week to talk more about Elden Ring, unless there's some fucking news, because there really hasn't been much.
No, there really hasn't. I'm hoping there's something, but I bet it's going to be pretty quiet for another 3 or 4 weeks, is my thought. Until you get
like the not E3 ramp
Yeah,
up.
basically stuff that would have been at E3 that's not happening now, but the Summer of Games crap is going to start again. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks folks for listening, and we will see you next week.
All right. Talk to you later.